Camilla Parker Bowles, following in the footsteps of her great-grandmother Alice Keppel, had an affair with the heir to the British throne in the early 1970s. But times have changed, and Prince Charles, who was in love with Mrs. Shand literally from the first time they met, never gave up his intention to marry her. Today we will tell you how Queen Camilla's great-grandmother, Alice Keppel, became the mistress and right-hand woman of King Edward VII and the woman he trusted more than his own wife, Queen Alexandra of Denmark. So who was Alice Keppel? Camilla's great-grandmother was an English aristocrat and socialite. She was an incredibly beautiful woman with blue eyes, brown hair, large breasts and a slim waist. She has been called one of the most famous women of the Edwardian era, and she earned her fame for herself. Alice Frederica Edmonstone was born on April 29, 1868, in Strathblane, Scotland. Known at home as Freddie, she was the youngest in a family of 11 children, only 9 of whom lived to adulthood. Alice's father was an admiral in the Royal Navy. Alice spent her childhood and youth, along with her siblings, at the family's ancestral castle, Dintreth Castle. The castle was a wedding gift from Scottish King Robert III to his daughter Mary, who married for the 4th time in 1405 to Alice's ancestor William Edmundson. Little is known of Queen Camilla's great-grandmother Camilla's youth, but her name became known after her marriage. Alice Edmonstone married quite early. By the standards of the time, this was considered the absolute norm, but she was only 23 years old. Her wedding to Lieutenant Colonel George Keppel took place on June 1, 1891. He was the son of the 7th Earl of Albemarle, 4 years older than Alice, and was serving in the British Army at the time of their marriage. Their marriage produced 2 daughters, Violet and Sonia. Sonia was Queen Camilla's great-grandmother. The family lived amicably but were poor, and Alice wanted to become a member of Britain's high society. Men liked Alice because she was beautiful and malleable. The husband knew his wife was having an affair but treated her cynically. "I don't care what you do, as long as you come back to me in the end." George himself was not a man of good reputation. He liked women and had affairs. The marriage was arranged from the beginning. One of his daughters described it as a marriage of companionship, love and laughter. The Prince of Wales, Queen Victoria's eldest son, and Alice met when she was 29 and he was 56. The large age difference did not hinder their romance. Edward was very much a ladies' man, and his wife, Alexandra of Denmark, knew that her husband had several mistresses. However, she treated Alice Keppel more favorably than other women who were more talkative and often bragged about their position. Alice was different. She favored the Prince of Wales. Their relationship continued after Edward VI's accession to the throne in 1901. Alice Keppel's life under the king became rich and peaceful. The king passed away in 1910. The reign of King Edward ended with the death of the monarch, and the former mistress was no longer needed at court. That same year, Alice left England with her husband. Many believed that Keppel never came to terms with the death of the king. After several years of wandering and regular returns to England to the Grosvenor Street mansion that King Edward VII had bought for Alice, the family finally decided to leave the UK in 1925. The family moved to Italy and bought a villa in Florence. When Edward VI's grandson Edward VIII announced his abdication on December 11, 1936, to marry divorced American Wallis Simpson, Alice Keppel said over dinner at the Ritz Hotel, "Things were much better in my day." Alice died of cirrhosis of the liver in 1947. Her husband George never got over his wife's death and followed her 2 months later. Their marriage lasted 56 years.